So very good evening again, all of you. We are moving towards the next session. The topic is acute diarrhea management. And first of all, I want to introduce myself. I am Dr. Natwar Parwal, and I am a consultant pediatric gastroenterologist at Surya Hospital, Jaipur. And I am a session coordinator of this session. So Dr. Shirish Bhatnagar is a pediatric gastroenterologist at Lucknow. He has done his training in pediatric gastroenterology at SGPGI and is professor and head at IRAS Lucknow Medical College and Hospital. He is director of Spurs Child Care and Gastro Center, Lucknow. And he has done many publications in national and international journals. He is a president at Lucknow Academy of Pediatrics in year 2020. He is a national advisor board member in Indian Pediatrics, and he is a chief editor Pediatric Gut and Liver E-Journal PGLJ from 2018 to till date. And that is this journal is very famous in among all pediatric gastroenterologists, and he is executive editor Child Today also. So over to Dr. Shirish Bhatnagar for the acute diarrhea management.
Thank you, Dr. Natwar, for this wonderful introduction, and thank you to all ESPGHAN office bearers, especially President Secretary, for giving this opportunity in the ESPGHAN. The topic today given to me is diarrhea and management of diarrhea. So I'll be brushing about the diarrhea and its management. So diarrhea, we all know, is around more than 3 watery or liquid stools per day. Dysentery is passage of blood in stools, and persistent diarrhea is any diarrhea which lasts for more than 14 days. Very important, we need to understand what is not diarrhea. It is basically passage of frequent formed stools or pasty stools in a breastfed infant, or the gastrocolic reflex we all understand, and the transitional diarrhea which happens in newborns at day 3 and day 4 of life. So parents should be counseled that this is not diarrhea whenever they come with these complaints. We all know that diarrhea is the burden of the society, with almost every child suffering from 1 to 2 episodes of diarrhea in under 5 years of life. And it is one of the most common practices which we see in our OPD practices. Whenever we talk of diarrhea, the treatment is based upon 4 pillars. First is use of ORS, which is prevention to treat the dehydration. Second is continuous feeding and increased breastfeeding. Abstinence for giving any antidiarrheal or any antibiotics without indication, and giving zinc in recommended dose. So these 4 pillars form the basis of treatment of diarrhea. However, there are challenges in treatment of diarrhea. One is poor ORS use, inappropriate management of dehydration, inadequate emphasis on feeding, less of zinc being used, and more use of antimicrobial and other drugs. So this is what was a survey done, and it showed that only in the 10 districts in India, ORS use was very less, 47%, and zinc was only 1.3%. This is an old survey, but recently the use of zinc has increased, but still we have to improve the overall practices in diarrhea. And that is why we need to counsel each role, what is the role of ORS and zinc, to make it more emphasis among pediatricians and pediatric gastroenterologists. So low osmolarity RS forms the basis of treatment of diarrhea. Low osmolarity ORS contains 75 milliequivalents of glucose and of sodium. That is why it is low osmolarity, and is safe and effective for all treatment of diarrhea and dehydration, including cholera. So desire was there because of improved ORS was expressed to achieve decreased requirements of IV fluid, decreased stool output, and decreased treatment failures in facilities. So this is what the low osmolarity ORS increases the gastric emptying time. The gastric emptying time is reduced by the low osmolarity ORS, and so prevents vomiting and the net flow of water into the blood. So there is decrease in stool output. So this was the standard comparison which we used to do it, that glucose initially was 111, now on 75. Sodium has also been reduced to 75. Total osmolarity is 245. This is the low osmolarity ORS. If you see what is the meta-analysis say about the low osmolarity ORS, it is 39% reduction in need for unscheduled IV fluids, 19% reduction in stool output, and 29% reduction in vomiting with the use of low osmolarity ORS. We need to understand what is unscheduled IV fluid. It is basically requirement of IV infusion after oral rehydration. Once we start a child on oral rehydration therapy, sometimes it is seen that the child still requires IV fluids as treatment. But with the use of low osmolarity ORS, this requirement has come down drastically, and this is called as unscheduled IV fluid therapy, and that is very important. So evaluation of low osmolarity in cholera, it has been shown in various studies that it is helpful and can be used safely in cholera diarrhea also. And it is effective in all ages, even less than 2 months of age. And children who are breastfed can be continued on ORS if they require, they have dehydration. We have been studying this plan A, plan B, plan C of treatment of diarrhea, so nothing going much into details. I'll go in a little bit of finer lines in each of the things. Plan A is basically plan A for no dehydration. We treat with ORS. 4 rules: give extra fluid, continued feeding, when to return, that mother has to be advised, and give zinc for 14 days. When to return is very important message that every pediatrician and every pediatric gastroenterologist who is dealing with diarrhea should advise the mother, and that is not able to drink or breastfeed or drinks poorly, becomes sick and lethargic, develops fever or has dysentery, vomitings resulting poor intakes or decreased urine output, then the mother should always come back to the hospital for checkup, because this is something else. This is not treating the no dehydration is not getting treated at home, and the child should come back to hospital facility. Plan B, we all know, is carried out in the clinic itself, where you give 75 ml of kg of ORS in first 4 hours. If the child wants more, you can give more, and after 4 hours, you need to reassess and classify degree of dehydration. Plan C is giving IV fluid. This is after admission. You give 100 ml per kg of ringer lactate. Under 12 months is total 6 hours, whereas in more than 1 year, you give for half an hour 30 ml per kg and 2.5 hours at 70 ml per kg. Feeding during diarrhea is a very important aspect that should not be neglected, and we should repeatedly counsel the parents regarding feeding during diarrhea. And the key facts are just trying to bring out that there is no basis for fasting, continued breastfeeding, encourage the child to drink and eat, feed small amount frequently, give foods that the child likes, variety of nutrient-rich foods, do not dilute milk, and do not give sugary drinks or cold drinks. Then advice on feeding from recovery is give an extra meal after the episode of diarrhea, give an extra meal, you give extra amount, use extra rich foods, and feed with patience, because the child may not be feeding so properly. You have to give a little bit of patience is required. Coming to zinc, we all know 20 milligram of zinc supplementation for 14 days as early as possible after onset of diarrhea. 10 milligrams in children between 2 to 6 months of age is the zinc dose. Why zinc in diarrhea? It has been shown that there is 25% reduction in time to recovery and 39% reduction in treatment failure and death by various study analysis, and that is why zinc is very helpful in treatment of diarrhea. Zinc is also helpful in cholera. It reduces the duration of cholera stools and also reduces the dysentery episodes. So we should not keep zinc only to the simple diarrhea. It was also recommended in cholera as well as in dysentery. Zinc is safe. The fatal dose is very high, 15 grams. Zinc toxicity is at more on, so it can be given easily without any problem. Coming to role of antibiotic, it is very limited. So there are specific indications like dysentery, cholera, and severely malnourished children, only antibiotics are given. So treatment of dysentery, if there are no risk factors, you need to treat at home. You can give oral ciprofloxacin, ORS. Zinc, as we had discussed, the child is better in 2 days. If the child is not better in 2 days, change to alternative antibiotics. However, if there are risk factors, the child is less than 1 year, dehydration or measles, or severely malnourished, then the child needs to be admitted. So after 2 days, if the child is not better, give alternative antimicrobials. If the child responds in 2 days, then you complete the treatment. Otherwise, only go for E-histolytica or metronidazole, as we call it. So metronidazole should not be started on the first day. First line of antibiotic is fluoroquinolones. You can change to third generation cephalosporin if there is no response. So even after 4 days, if there is no response, then only start metronidazole as treatment policy. So this is what are the treatment generally we give: ciprofloxacin, cefixime, and ceftriaxone when the child has to be admitted. Coming to cholera, a very important cholera management is assessment of dehydration and rehydration. Don't just jump to giving antibiotics. You have to hydrate the patient, and once the hydration is started, then you start with antibiotic. Antibiotics can be given in form of doxycycline or ciprofloxacin, and zinc has to be continued and feeding has to be continued. Treatment of acute diarrhea in severely malnourished children. Systemic antimicrobials are required because these children are immunodeficient. So you need to give antimicrobials and should be hospitalized too. So you generally start with broad spectrum like ampicillin and gentamicin. However, if the child fails to improve within 48 hours, you need to add IV cefotaxime ceftriaxone. And when you get established culture reports, according to that, you can change the medication. And if you have septicemia, you give it for 14 days. If you have associated meningitis, you can give it to 21 days, depending upon what other pathology is there. Coming to role of probiotics and anti-secretory, global recommendations of probiotics used in acute gastroenteritis. Level 1 evidence is for 2 probiotic strains, Lactobacillus GG and Saccharomyces boulardii. This is according to ESPGHAN and NICE guidelines. Fewer studies on probiotics have been conducted in India and data is still evolving. So we need to have our own data, robust data, before we say about Indian setup. And finally, there is no recommendation of anti-secretory drugs of any type as such in the treatment of acute diarrhea. Prevention is very important. We need to counsel the parents about hand washing, proper disposal of excreta, safe water for drinking, appropriate feeding practices like exclusive breastfeeding in first 6 months of life, no bottle feeds, and role of vaccines. We all know rotavirus vaccine and cholera vaccine do help us in prevention of diarrhea. To summarize, in acute diarrhea, ORS, zinc, continued feeding, and avoid unwanted drugs. ORS is effective in all types of diarrhea. Zinc for 14 days to be started with onset of diarrhea. Drug of choice for dysentery is fluoroquinolones or cefixime. Metronidazole has to be added only after 4 days if there is no response. Cholera, doxycycline along with rehydration is very important. Severe acute malnutrition and diarrhea, starts broad spectrum antibiotics as soon as possible. Probiotics, limited agents have a role, and prevention is very important in form of hand hygiene, and vaccines have a role to play. Thank you.
So very well explained by Dr. Shirish about acute diarrhea management, and he's explained the role of diet, ORS and zinc, especially for diarrhea in Indian children. So thank you very much, Dr. Shirish. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.